Welcome to Beyond the Competition, the SAE University Programs Podcast. Hey gang, welcome back to the podcast. I'm Mike Sorg, the multimedia and podcast producer with the SAE University Programs, and it is that time again. It is time for Aero Design, SAE Aero Design, the first of the events happening with Aero Design West in Van Nuys, California. Good to get back out there, and it's looking much drier than hopefully it was last year. But anyways, we have the Know Before You Go for you guys this week. And with me, first of all, of course, we have Ed Rooney, the event director for Aero Design West. How you doing, Ed?
I'm doing good, and I am praying we do not have a repeat of last year's weather.
Absolutely.
One and two was, I want everyone to enjoy what California is known for in the normal sunshine.
It's actually going to feel like California this time, isn't it? So
I'm hoping so. Fingers crossed.
And back again is Glenn Cashion, the air boss with the Aero Design. How you doing, Glenn?
I'm doing great, Mike. Ready for the event to get started.
Excellent. Also on the line, we have Brett Foley, the Aero Design Program Lead from SAE International.
Hello, thanks for having me.
So, of course, when we do this Know Before You Goes, if you are on the video version, if you catch this on audio, there is a video version and there is a slideshow that does go with this to give you some visuals about what you're going to get, what you to expect as we go into this competition. So let's kick it off.
I just wanted to, again, extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the students, all the faculty advisors, and all the folks at SAE International, and all of our sponsors who have made this possible. But again, recognizing those students who have spent, years, or not years, but endless amounts of nights getting ready for this event, right? Whether you're doing fundraising to travel to the event or just staying up late doing design work, building it, so on and so forth. I can't thank you enough. And I hope you realize how fruitful it'll be for you throughout your career and memories that you'll remember for the rest of your life. And I could say that confidently from experience because I was in your shoes almost 12, 13 years ago. That was me when I had a little more hair on the top of my head, competing in this exact event in regular class, Team 18. And I can tell you there isn't really a day that goes by that I don't think about that group of 10 of us and what we had to do to compete here in Van Nuys. So it's really funny that I'm here now again leading it. But again, it is an event that you get what you put into it. And I know you all have put your heart and soul into it and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears most likely. And you guys are going to see the fruits of your labors come next weekend. Myself is I'm the contest director. My colleague, Jake Stone, he's not able to be with us today, but he is our deputy director. He will be leading inspection. On site, we'll have Lonnie Dong, part of the rules committee, as well as Dave Moriniti. Glenn is on. He's going to talk to you folks in a little bit about being air boss, safety, competition requirements, so on and so forth. And then Josh Childs is also inspector, along with Tom Blakeney. And again, you guys will see these folks throughout the competition. The big thing to remember, which I'm sure we will repeat throughout this conversation, throughout this podcast, is if you have any questions about the rules, cannot go up to just any volunteer. You have to look for somebody in a red hat. Those are the rules committee folks who can give you clear guidance on any questions you have or any concerns you might want to bring up. And those, again, will be in red hats.
So my name's Brett. I work with SAE. I've communicated with many of you over email. You've been working very hard over the year to submit everything, all of your documentation, getting everything set up. We're just very excited to get to this point where you'll be able to bring your aircraft on site and finally test them. So looking forward to seeing you there.
Awesome. Thank you, Brett. So again, very grateful for everything SAE has done for this event and also for just being a fantastic host. Big overview for what's going to be happening come next weekend. So Friday morning, we're going to open up and we start doing technical inspections. The field will be open for flying later in the day, but that will not be open for flying until you have passed technical inspections. Technical inspections are twofold. One is making sure you're compliant with the rules, and then also having an inspection from field representatives themselves, specifically make sure that the Valley Flyers are comfortable with your aircraft going on their field, right? So most likely, if you pass technical inspection, you will kind of goes hand in hand that you will also pass the Valley Flyers inspection as well. We will also be doing a safety presentation or discussion.
So there will be a safety briefing at 11 o'clock at the stage on the main runway, and then flying operations will start after that.
Awesome. Thank you, Glenn. So yes, after you have passed inspection and everyone in your respective pilots and team have attended that safety presentation, the field will be open for flying. Of course, you will be at the discretion of the air boss for operations, and they will be on site guiding you. In the evening, we are going to have we're planning to have a presentation by Skunkworks chief engineer on flight controls. And then after that, the field will close for us to get ready for Saturday. We're pretty much going to have competition flying the entire day. On Sunday, we will repeat that competition flying, and then we'll have an award ceremony shortly after lunch. Just a friendly reminder, on Saturday, we will pause flying operations for a break for the volunteers and everyone on the flight line to, get lunch, take a breather. So at one point throughout the day, we will, but that doesn't mean you need to leave your queue if you're on the flight line. Big rules for the event, right? And again, thank you for everyone who's a returning team. But for those of you who are new teams, here's kind of the con-ops of how we operate. Tables are provided. We respectfully ask you to take one table per team and 4 chairs per team. Teams will select their table from one of 2 areas on the field that we will show you in a couple charts. There's no electricity in the tents. There are designated areas for power and charging area as needed. So if you need to use any irons or drills or anything like that are not battery powered, we do have areas for you to plug in and perform any tools as needed. Additionally, motor testing only in designated areas as well. Please, please, please do not try to operate your vehicle when you're in the tents around other teams. Again, as per the rules, only student team members can work on the aircraft. Please do not allow advisors, colleagues, friends, loved ones to help you out. This is a student competition, and let's make sure that you are the only ones working on your vehicle. Again, friendly reminder, we are all guests of the Valley Flyers airfield. Please keep your areas clean. We will have trash bins everywhere, so please do your best to throw those out. If you see anything of concern, right, if there's trash overflowing or anything like that, please let a volunteer know, and we will address it as soon as possible. Again, kind of along the same lines, the airfield cannot be entered before 7 a.m. I know everyone is really anxious and really determined to be ready to rock as soon as that field opens up, but the field is physically unable to get there before 7, so feel free to line up at the gate, but you'll not be allowed in any closer before 7. Teams that do not have their own vehicles must pre-arrange for scheduled transportation. You must pick up no later than 5:30 Friday, Saturday, and 3 p.m. on Sunday. Please try to make sure you have enough seats for everyone on your team and not jam-packing into a car. Again, if everyone could be out by 5:30, that would be very helpful to all of our volunteers to get home to their families and loved ones. We cannot leave until you all leave. So we want to make sure everyone is safely on their way back to their lodging. Again, please show your utmost respect to the volunteers. We will also have EMT and local security on site, as well as some other community members who may be there. So please, make your schools proud, show your professionalism to all these individuals. There will be no flying at the field outside of the scheduled hours. So pretty much once the field's closed, just because it's closed doesn't mean that you can come back and fly. The field is ours for the weekend, so there's no really way around that. I know we just set a lot of rules of, what to do and what, how to behave. I know you're all going to be great stewards of your schools and represent them accordingly. The one thing that we haven't really said is please make sure you ask questions, right? A lot of the volunteers that are going to be there this weekend are leaders in industry, right? Whether they're from Lockheed Martin, whether they're from our sponsors, whether they're from SAE, whether they're retired from Northrop Grumman or Boeing or any major aerospace company. The people who are volunteering are super passionate about aerospace, so please, please, please ask them questions. They will most likely come up to you and ask about your design and how you got there. That's not a test, right? You guys have already submitted your reports, your presentations are coming to a close. They're just genuinely interested in learning about your design. So please keep that in mind and use those as opportunities to hone your public speaking skills. As I said, this event really does provide dividends for you down the road. So please keep that in mind as you're interacting with folks throughout the weekend. I know we are in Los Angeles, but there are, of course, wildlife in the airfield, right? The airfield is located within a major park/wetlands. Just please be mindful of when you're walking off the paths and you're not in a more traveled environment. I haven't heard of any wildlife in the area, but just use your head, be smart, and make sure you're careful where you're walking. And if you're going outside the field or across the runway, of course, you would need to get the flight line boss's approval. We'll cover that at the event. Another big thing, as in any major city, please do not leave anything of value overnight at the airfield. Although we do have security, our security is responsible for protecting some of the investment in the structures and things that we have there, not responsible for your equipment. So at the end of the day, you're responsible to pack everything up from the airfield. You can't leave things on tables, so on and so forth. In the event that you do need some other, last minute supplies, Hobby House is nearby. Unfortunately, I don't think they will be able to be on site this year, but they are, 10, 15-minute drive and have most major RC parts. But there's also a large supply base of hobby parts within the San Fernando Valley and within Los Angeles. So the field location, so it is very close to the interchange of the infamous 405 highway and the 101 in the Sepulveda Basin Park. So you can see it's a very large area, almost akin to Central Park in New York City, but obviously not in Manhattan. The address has been provided to most of you. If not, you'll be able to find it from his charts later on. But we're looking at Apollo 11 airfield in Los Angeles or Encino. Encino's a little town within Los Angeles, and they've been our hosts for many years, and we hope to continue to go there. So again, please be good stewards of your school and respectful to the airfield and to all the volunteers who are going to be helping. So I know this chart is a lot of eyesore. So I'm going to start from the top left and then kind of work my way down. So everyone will be coming in to the airfield from that top left road where it says lunch truck. So we will have lunch truck. Saturday, we will have a taco vendor, taco plate that has vegetarian and non-vegetarian options. On Sunday, we will have Habit Burger, who again will have vegetarian and non-vegetarian options. Moving down the airfield into the gated area, you can see there's student pits 1 and 2, where if you move down that student pit area, you can see that the student pit is actually cut in half, where the southernmost part in red is actually where you're going to be doing your inspection on Friday. That inspection area will be there all weekend because I know you all are very, very familiar with the rules. If there's any modifications, any incidences during flying, you need to get your aircraft re-inspected. So that inspection station will be open the entire weekend. Moving to the west from there, you can see in purple, there's a battery charging area. So that's where you'll go to charge any of your electronics or if you need just a general power supply. Moving up from there, you will see some of our sponsor booths or a portion of our sponsor booths. Brett, would you like to introduce who our sponsors who are going to be on site are?
Yeah, we have 5 sponsors who will be on site for the event. MathWorks will be returning from last year, as well as OnShip, the sponsors of our Design Report Awards. Then we also have Haas coming for the first time, and then Elsevier will be on site as well. In addition to those sponsors, Stratasys will be on site with their interactive trailer so that students will be able to go in and check out different 3D printing technology. That'll be on Saturday. So we're excited to have 5 sponsors on site with us this year.
Yeah, again, super grateful for them being on site. So with that being said, of course, I want everyone to remember, make sure you guys are scoring as many points, flying as much as you can, but probably would not hurt you to check out who these companies are that are coming on site, looking in their career opportunity sections on their website, and possibly having some resumes available. They're there for you folks. They're there to recruit, high-performing students like yourselves. So please do your due diligence and be prepared. Talk about your design, right? Talk about why you're going to win the competition, whether it's regular, advanced, or micro. Come in with an informed viewpoint of their company, what they do, and again, have that resume ready, right? I know you're all competing in this to win, but it's also a great portion on your resume, right? To show companies that you can accomplish a task successfully and or lead a project from beginning to end.
And Ed, it goes back to what you said earlier. Interact with the people that are there at the sponsor table, and then the volunteers as well. We have so many volunteers from Lockheed Martin and other groups that help with organizing. And while you have all those Lockheed employees there, uh, a lot of times those that are volunteers from Lockheed, they got connected originally and initially because they competed as a student at the event and met other volunteers from Lockheed. So make sure that you're engaging with the volunteers and the sponsors because it'll help you to improve professionally in the near term, but you could also be developing some very important connections for the long term as well.
Yep, exactly. Well said, Brett. And, I can attest to that 100%. I got my first job at Lockheed Martin doing F-35 flight tests, and I talked about my experience in this competition, specifically how using MATLAB, which funny enough is now a sponsor, and how I, did some takeoff distance calculations in MATLAB and optimized it using some scripts. That is 100% why I got hired. My manager told me later on it was the way I was able to articulate that, which was something that I did present in the presentations for SAE Aero Design. So again, I am eternally grateful to SAE Aero Design and super excited to be able to give back by leading the event again. Going back to layout. Yep, sponsor booths in green to the northwest portion of the field. As you come further down, we'll have battery charging. On the outside of the gate, we'll have restrooms and hand washing stations. Just south of the restrooms will be the EMT station and check-in. So when you get to the field, please come in there every day. You guys will be provided wristbands to identify you as competitors around the field, and please keep those on the entire day just to make sure we know everyone inside the field is a student competing or volunteer or a faculty advisor, so on and so forth. Moving further down, there will be another pit area. Those are just metal tables under those trees. And as you go further down that taxiway in green, that will be a Stratasys trailer that is going to be really exciting where they can kind of showcase some of their capabilities. Now, with respect to flying, so going up the taxiway that's going to the northeast with the blue arrow, this is for assuming we're going to be taking off in a south direction. So you all line up in the flight queue. With respect to the flight queue, I'm going to hand it off to Glenn for a second just to talk about the number of students who are allowed in the flight queue and then into the actual flight line itself.
So as you get ready to start your flying day, you'll go to the scoring station, pick up your scoring card, and head to the flight line. And in the flight line queue, which is the blue arrow, once you go past the gate, which is where the pit starts, you've committed to start a flight. You will go from there to the flight line as directed by the air boss and the pit boss. Start your flight route, which will go out and around. Once you enter the pit area, you will have committed to a flight. You will go to where the black arrow is, fly your pattern, come back and land. If you have a successful flight, you will go to the HQ tent, which is yellow tent to the south, and get your aircraft weighed and measured, and then go back to the pits and prepare for your next flight.
Awesome. Thank you, Glenn. So as you're getting ready to go, again, assuming you've passed inspection, you will line up in the flight queue, perform your flight, and then if successful, you will exit on that on the taxiway, HQ and weighing tent there, and then if wanted, you can go back in line and go in the queue again. Again, we will have for regular, micro, and advanced, we'll talk about that in a minute, but there's be a regular class starting line, any type of ground station needed for advanced, and most importantly, we will have flaggers for once airborne, once you hit that 400 feet from starting to begin your turn. That's a lot to take in, but this is kind of a bird's eye view of what to expect during the competition. So inspection summary, we usually plan to send out a timeline for, okay, we'd like certain teams to, come in the morning and then go throughout the day. We prefer that so that not everyone is trying to squeeze in at, 3 p.m., right, where the field closes at 5. There's no way we can inspect all of you in time within the last 2 hours. So please, please, please try to meet your inspection window that we will provide to you. Teams must certify the planes, meet 100% of the rules for inspection, which I'm sure you're all very familiar with because I know you all have read the rules. Again, if you have any questions, especially at the event, talk to the red hats, right? Before inspection, right? There will be folks who are working on inspection, but then there will be also just red hats walking around the field. Please make sure that you talk to them if you have any hesitations or concerns before. Once you start, any non-compliance will result in a loss of points. So if you have anything that's kind of leaving, your stomach in knots or you have some butterflies, please, please, please ask. With respect to teams that are bringing multiple, primary aircraft are given priority inspection. And again, as mentioned, the inspection will consist of two components: rules compliance and then also local field compliance / airworthiness, where again, they're just looking to make sure that your plane is built diligently, right? You're not going to have a control surface depart from the vehicle, and you're going to be able to keep the field as safe as possible. Of course, there will be times where, a lot of teams will try and load up on weight and gravity wins. But we're just trying to do our due diligence so that when gravity does win, it's due to you guys pushing the envelope and not just due to an oversight. Flight operations. Teams must have a flight card to enter the flight queue. Flight cards are available at the SAE headquarters desk. Once you have a flight card, you will find a flight steward who will be lined up with you while you're in that queue. We're most likely going to have a lot of teams who are in the queue and probably not as many stewards. You can enter the queue and just know we will find a steward from you as you're in line. There will be pilots meetings every morning at 7:30, Saturday and Sunday. Glenn will be leading that. And flying will be starting at 8 a.m. on all days. Unless there is a catastrophic weather and the Airbus deems that we're not going to be flying, we will be planning on flying at 8 a.m. As many of you may have seen videos from last year, it was pretty torrential downpour, and we still were able to compete and fly. Granted, it was probably one of the more interesting events, I'll say that. Again, as iterated before, you must clear the field and leave the site by 5:30. The gates will lock. It's a logistical issue for the airfield.
So for the micro flight operation, you'll enter the starting line at the lower right-hand corner, which will be the coming from the pit area up to the flight line. As soon as you set your aircraft down, the timer will start. You will come in on the right-hand side to the starting line, set down your aircraft, and you have takeoff distances of 10 feet, 25 feet, 50 feet, and 100 feet for micro. The shorter distance you can use to take off, the more points you will score. You will fly the whole length of the runway, 400 feet from your takeoff line, make your first turn, circle the field, turn base to final, and fly past your starting line, which completes the circuit, and land inside the landing zone, which is 200 feet. And 1/2 the width of the runway. There's a center line, and it will be between the center line and the infinity line where the pilots are. This is a little more detail about your takeoff. There is a kind of a cone-shaped takeoff area. You'll put your mains on the line on the right-hand side where the arrow says approximately 5 feet. That's where your mains will go. And then you'll fly out to the left on this picture, and you can get to the first part of the 10-foot. After you go past that first cone, there are lines on each side of that. You can fly all the way to the edge of the runway. Just remember, if you come to the edge of the runway that's at the bottom, your flight will be disqualified because that is an out of bounds zone, which is known as the infinity line. And where you see the large area at the bottom, that's where the pilots will generally be standing. The flight ops for the regular team, you can bring 2 members of the team out. You'll come onto the runway out of the pit area with your outer panels not assembled to the aircraft. As soon as you set the airplane down, mains on the flight line, your clock will start. You have 120 seconds to start your takeoff roll. So 2 minutes to assemble the outer panels, check your controls, and start your takeoff roll. You would fly all the way down to the 400 feet, make your first turn. In this case, you're going to be turning left, flying the downwind leg, and turning base to final and coming back and landing past the line that you're taking off from. If your plane gets off the ground and comes back to the ground inside the 100 feet, you can still take off. If you take off and come and touch the ground outside of that first 100 feet of your takeoff, then the flight will be void and you will receive a 0 score for the flight. So for your advanced takeoff, you will come and set your aircraft down on the main flight line. You will start your takeoff roll. You must fly with a fixed wing configuration. After you take off from the end of the runway, you go 400 feet and start your first turn flying to the landing zone. When you get to the designated landing zone, you can deliver your payload there and then fly back to deliver your payload there. And if you want to pick up another payload, you may do so and fly back to base to final to come back in and land. Some more specifications for the advanced class, which is the new set of rules this year. You must have a conventional takeoff and then transition to whichever sort of flight you want to. You will start with a conventional takeoff, which is defined as horizontal flight off lift created by the main wings and fly the first leg of the flight, which is your first 400 feet. You then can fly to the payload release zone and deploy your payload on the drop zone. And if you've already deposited another payload on the drop zone and you want to retrieve another payload and bring it back, you can do it at that time. Any aircraft touching outside of that payload designated landing zone is considered out of bounds and negates your flight score. If you've captured a payload and you're coming back to land, you can return to base, which is the downwind leg, and turn base to final. And that will complete your flight. So this is a little more detail in the advanced class since it's the first time with the new rules. This aircraft is starting at the 0 point on the left-hand side of the runway, following the green dotted line to the 300-foot mark. And as soon as you get to the 400-foot mark, you can start your left-hand turn. If you're doing this autonomously, we'll be checking the radio and making sure the takeoff is autonomous. Remember that this must be a takeoff with the aircraft generating lift from the main wings and not vertical rotor for takeoff. Once you get past the first red line and start your left turn, you're now in the departure heading to the landing zone. This will be scored for autonomous also. We will be keeping an eye to make sure that you're flying this autonomously and keep the score accordingly. Continuing from that first turn, you're turning downwind and heading into the dropping area. Inside the dropping area, you'll have an 8x8 square, which will be for your team only. And that 8x8 square will be your designated landing zone. You'll proceed into this area to drop and release your payload and retrieve a payload if that's what your mission is. And then you will have to make sure that you're flying horizontal flight once you leave this 200-foot area. You will transition to regular horizontal flight if you're using a transitional aircraft for VTOL. And we will start the scoring for the final base, for the base to final landing segment. The landing zones will be in an area that's approximately 50 feet wide and approximately 200 feet long, extending from flight show center. As you leave the landing areas, you will turn base to final and come in to land into the regular landing zone, making sure that you land past the 0 line, which is marked right at the beginning of the green, and landing in the landing zone. If you have a successful flight, you will go recover your aircraft, disarm it, and be met by a flight steward to head back to the way station. If you are disqualified on the flight, you may retrieve your aircraft, remove the red arming plug, and then head back to the pits or get back in line for another attempt. Make sure that once you have taken your red arming plug out, you hold it in the air so that everyone can see it, and a flight steward will meet you as you taxi off the runway or as you're retrieving your aircraft. You will report to the weigh-in station with the flight steward and have your aircraft weighed and measured. Do not disassemble your aircraft until you're told to do so. So that completes your flight summary for the regular, micro, and advanced class. Please remember to be very, very safe when you're flying. No running on the flight line. Pay attention to all the instructions by the flight stewards, the flag staff, and the air boss on the flight line. Good luck at the competition. Looking forward to seeing you.
Glenn has done a great job explaining how we're gonna fly, right? How are you guys gonna show your designs are the best ones out there? Some last remaining items. Lunches will be provided to students on Saturday and Sunday. You will redeem your lunch ticket during check-in and or at the SAE headquarters. Again, vegetarian options are available. Water bottles will be provided. Right now, we're targeting 1 to 2 cases of water per team. Again, fingers crossed, we are not in a torrential downpour, so it'll be beautiful Southern California and it'll be hot. So please stay hydrated. Sunscreen, again, will be provided and is available. Please, please, please use sunscreen to avoid any sunburn. I know for a fact when I first moved here, I used to never get sunburned, but the sun is very intense in Southern California. So please do your due diligence to protect yourself. And then again, I know we've said it before, we will have an EMT medical team on site all 3 days. So in the event you are hurt, please go to the check-in desk where they will be situated, and they can help provide any medical treatment within their capability. I'm originally from New York, and I definitely live to eat and not eat to live. Some of my favorite places I can recommend to you folks. I'm sure many of you have heard of In-N-Out and eating an animal-style burger. You can get an animal-style, protein-style. Google the In-N-Out secret menu. It's not really secret anymore, but it's awesome. Fat Sal's, if any of you are familiar with Rutgers grease trucks that used to exist, pretty much think if a kid opened up a sandwich shop and you wanted to get chicken tenders and mozzarella sticks and onion rings on a sandwich, that's what they have there. It's awesome. If you like Japanese food, ramen, in the Sawtell area, about 20 minutes south of the field, they're Little Tokyo. It is awesome. They have some world-renowned ramen shops. And of course, it wouldn't be Los Angeles without getting some tacos, right? I love Tacos 1986, right near UCLA's campus, very affordable. Same thing with Benny's, Senorita's Prime Tacos, and Tacos Por Favor. Very much hole-in-the-wall shops that will not break your bank for college students. Surprisingly, Los Angeles has a pretty big pizza scene now. So if you're in the mood for it, here's some recommendations. And then if those of you are familiar with Xiaolongbao, there's about 2 or 3 Din Tai Fungs in the area. I would definitely go and try that if you haven't. Definitely more expensive than tacos, but definitely worthwhile. So you guys have won the competition, right? You carried as much payload as predicted. You were able to do all your autonomy. You nailed virtual presentations. You're going home winners, right? But you have 24 hours or maybe even longer to explore Los Angeles. What do you want to do? I'm a recent new dad, so first thing I tell you to do is go to Disneyland. But I also know that's a little pricey. If you're a big movie buff, I can't stress how much fun studio tours are. Warner Brothers, if you like Batman and Harry Potter. Paramount has a lot of awesome ones as well. If you're a big Seinfeld fan, Sony, and the Universal Studios has a ride within Universal Studios Park, and Universal Studios is extremely close to the field. Again, hiking, walking, Runyon Canyon, just exploring all that Southern California has to offer is amazing. And of course, if you go to certain areas, especially in Venice, Abbot Kinney, more likely than not, you might run into someone you've seen on TV, which is pretty cool to do as well. And from the bottom of my heart, folks, students, faculty advisors, can't thank you enough for coming out and competing this year. It's going to be an awesome competition. Our goal is to get you guys as many flights as possible and also keep everyone safe. So please bear with us. I know you guys might not understand every decision that we make. But again, our goal is to make sure you guys have the maximum amount of opportunities to fly while doing so safely. So with that, thank you and look forward to seeing everyone next weekend.
Glenn, Ed, Brett, thank you so much for clarifying things and making sure everybody's as ready as possible for the competition here for SAE Aero Design West out in Van Nuys, California, coming up here. And just a reminder, the flight competition for Saturday and Sunday, as well as the award ceremony, as usual, will be live streamed on the SAE University Programs YouTube page. Please keep an eye out for that. We'll be going up, as the flight started in the morning. If there's any delays or anything, we'll they'll be adjusting toward those accordingly. So just make sure you are subscribed to the SAE University Programs YouTube page. Make sure you hit that bell for notifications. And while you're there, make sure you do subscribe to this podcast. If you're just here for the information, we have a monthly podcast with Beyond the Competition, plus the CDS Action News is a part of this feed as well over on the YouTube. Or if you have podcasts, that you listen to, you can listen to all of this in podcast form on your favorite provider. Just look for SAE's Beyond the Competition, and we'll have so much more for you. And make sure you download that app, Aero Design app, so you're getting all the notifications, including probably when we go live as well. We should be sending some stuff out too. So with that, looking forward to see everybody out there in California. Until next time, stay safe out there. Thank you for listening to Beyond the Competition, the SAE University Programs podcast. Show notes for this episode can be found at beyondthecompetition.fireside.fm. Remember to stay tuned for updates on your competition's news feed or app, and follow SAE_University Programs on TikTok and Instagram. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next episode.